Good afternoon. My name is Alina Shevtsova. I am an immigration attorney from Brooklyn, New York. In today's Legally Speaking seminar, I would like to talk to you about the changes that the Trump administration is promising to implement in the nearest future. And those are very important changes that will completely change the landscape of asylum procedure in the United States. Well, first of all, some of those incoming changes are already implemented. I'm talking about the indefinite detention of those asylum seekers who passed the credible fear interview. Just recently, a couple of weeks ago, specifically, Attorney General issued a decision in the matter of MS, stating that those asylum seekers who are crossing the border and seek asylum and first are detained and first are placed in expedited removal, but then after they pass credible fear, they're placed in regular removal proceedings, will be not entitled to bond. They will not be entitled to bond any longer, meaning that they potentially be indefinitely detained until their claims are heard. So that's very important. And yesterday, April 29th, 2019, Trump stated the following. He stated that to combat this unlimited immigration, as he sees it, the best way to do it would be to change and to change the procedure for asylum and change it in a way that it's going to be less less attractive, or the better way to put it, more scarier for the asylum seekers to dive in. Basically, what is he proposing? Well, first of all, he's stating that those who crossing illegally will not be able to get employment authorization. I'm not really sure if it's a good measure and who is going to scare or deter, because many people that do work illegally, and you cannot, under the current regulations, you cannot get a work permit within the first 180 days anyhow. First 180 days after you file for asylum claim. And what happens currently is, because asylum claims are being heard within 60 days of the filing, a person does not get work permit until he or she is referred to court. So also, when you work illegally, you do not pay taxes. When you work legally, you pay taxes. So I'm not really sure that this is going to be a good thing, but he says no work permit. It's okay. Detention, we just covered that. Detention, indefinite detention of those who crossing at the border and passing credible fear interview. But one very important thing that he mentioned is that he believes that the United States can implement filing fees for asylum claims, and this is very important. He did not announce any specific amount that he believes will be just, but he states as much as needed to process the claim, which can be thousands of dollars. Probably it will be hundreds of dollars. So from what I understand, depending on how many hours an officer on average would have to look into the case, that would be the value of that application, and I can estimate it will be no less than $200, right? $200 for somebody who just left everything and didn't have a job, or was extorted in their home country and spent all the funds into coming into the United States, is just an unrealistic amount of money. And we're talking about the lowest possible amount, right? $200. So what does it do when the government charges you a fee for asylum? It basically prevents you from getting asylum if you cannot pay. Right now, of course, for many applications, we do have to pay when we apply for various immigration benefits. Mostly, though, we apply for those benefits once we're in the United States and we already have funds, we have employment authorization, or we have funds because we came here legally and we're applying for change of status, we have the money in the account and things like that. And some applications are filed by U.S. citizens or lawful permanent residents. They already have employment authorizations. They can make money and they can pay the fees. We also have fee waivers for many forms, you can request a fee waiver if you do qualify. So if we say that asylum seekers cannot ask for the fee waiver and the fee has to be at least $200, it means that asylum seeker will be deprived of his opportunity or her opportunity to file for asylum in the United States. I believe this will be in violation of the current law because it will deny access to the relief that the person is seeking. And of course, it seems that it's also in discord with international humanitarian law. But we will see what's going to happen. I do not believe that the fee will be implemented, but it may be, maybe, who knows. But those are the main changes. And one more change that they're trying to implement is that to resolve asylum claim within 180 days, effectively 6 months. So if this happens, forget about employment authorization for those who crossed illegally, because under the current regulations, you cannot file for employment within the first 180 days. Well, it's actually 150 days, and you will not receive until 180 days pass from the time that you file your asylum claim. It means that you will not have an employment authorization. But then, of course, we'll have appeals, right? So in the United States, the system works this way. If you're in immigration court and you're denied, in the court of the first level, you denied asylum, you can appeal to the Board of Immigration Appeals. And it would mean that the process will take longer than 180 days. It may take 2 years, let's say. And then you can also file a petition for review with the federal court. And that's where I think the problem will be. They didn't think that through. So also, it's unclear what they mean by, at least what Trump announced, what they mean by entered illegally. Does it mean that it will cover all those who enter not through the border, and those who enter through the border but using some fraudulent information, let's say fraudulent name or someone else's passport, but we will see. So Trump administration, basically Trump said that within 90 days of his announcement, the administration has to come up with regulations. And I think what's going to happen next will be another lawsuit. Because some of these announcements, as I see them, they will contradict the current law and access to humanitarian reliefs that the United States is obligated to provide under the current law. So we'll see. But basically everything is heading to the direction of being stricter, being harder for an applicant, potential applicant for asylum, to utilize asylum procedure in the United States. It also actually ties up, these recent proposals are also ties up with the visa overstays announcements that were recently, when Trump said that some countries are guilty of, or nationals of some countries are guilty of constant overstays. And also they're trying to see which countries that would be that will have hard time, nationals of which will have hard time receiving visas and coming into the United States. Because in the United States, you can file for asylum at the border, or once you're in the United States already on the visa. So I think they're going to look into that situation as well. And you can learn more about asylum in the United States and various developments on our website, www.shoutsova.com. Thank you.